America, powered by Skip Barber, returns to action after its midsummer hiatus with just 6 races remaining to decide 3 class championships. Today's challenge, the 4-mile, 14-turn thrill ride that is Road America. This is a track that challenges a driver's commitment as much as it tests the machines themselves, but this is as revered a circuit as you'll find on the continent among drivers and fans alike. Hello, welcome to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. My name is Ryan Marine. It's a pleasure to have your company. Calvin Fish is alongside, and DJ Clark will be patrolling the pits for us here this weekend. Welcome to beautiful Wisconsin. A great day to go racing. Touring car racing headed your way. It's a 40-minute single-driver sprint. 3 different classes, great mix of cars, and Calvin, Road America always provides a thrill.
It does. It's a special place, Ryan. I've been coming here since the mid-'80s. Fell in love with the not only the venue, but the racetrack itself. Just over 4 miles, longest circuit that we run at all season long. Been refreshed, new surface, so that's created quite the challenge for all of these teams and drivers to get their hands and minds around what the new setups need to be. But we saw some very exciting qualifying sessions this morning, and dominated by the Hondas in the TCX class by quite a margin. Quite a surprise there.
Absolutely. Matt Pombo making his debut in the TCX class. Scored pole just barely, though, over the Japanese drifting ace, Dai Yoshihara. They sweep the front row for Honda. So much has been made of the news that new Acura Integra is coming to the TCX class next year. That car recently unveiled. But for the moment, it's all about this Honda Civic, and it looks like that is the weapon for this facility.
It is. It certainly showed pace. I mean, in the past, sometimes tire degradation would come into it, even though these are relatively short races. But with this new surface, we're not hearing a lot about that. Not certainly debriefing with some of the drivers and teams here this weekend. As we look at this circuit, it is a magical place. 14 turns, just over 4 miles, 171 feet of elevation change, some very long straightaways, and big brake zones is the makeup of this circuit.
Names like the Moraine Sweep and the Kink and Canada Corner, so evocative. They bring to mind memories of some of the greats in North American road racing that have raced here and won here over the years.
Absolutely, and this is a potential great we've been looking at this year. Maddie Oust, what a season she's put together, sweeping VIR and putting in some tremendous performance. It's been a difficult weekend for her. She rode off her primary chassis here yesterday, so they're in the backup cars. So be interesting to see if she can rebound here today in the race.
Podiums in each of her last 4 starts, including those 2 wins at VIR, but you're right, it has been a trying weekend thus far for Maddie Oust. So many stories sprinkled throughout this grid and down among the race cars on the pit lane. Let's welcome in DJ Clark.
Thanks, Ryan. We are down here on the grid getting ready to fire off in just a few minutes' time. We've been talking about the TCX category, but keep an eye back down in the TC class as well. A front row lockout for the Mini JCW team. They could carry on some good luck, and Clayton Williams could continue on his title hopes here today.
Hey, you're right. It's been a great summer stretch for Clay Williams, who came into the races at Circuit of the Americas, trailing Jeff Rika considerably in the points. Jeff had to skip those 2 races to go run the Nürburgring 24. Came back at VIR where he showed great pace, but didn't have any luck.
Yeah, I mean, I think he thought he was going to go away and maintain that championship lead. That wasn't the case, and then he had a really rough VIR with some technical issues. So he's very much on the back foot now, Jeff Rika. Many points behind, sitting in P3, and in the meantime, Clayton Williams has really taken advantage of that situation and has been on a tear. He's got 4 wins now on the bounce, so and starts today's race from the pole with his teammate alongside as well.
Talking to the team, they say the math is clear. If Clay can just shadow Jeff the rest of the way, finish 1 position behind him, they should have the points to clinch the championship. And they're not just thinking about the driver championship there at the mini squad. They're thinking about the manufacturer's championship. That matters a lot under that tent. So you mentioned his teammate, Christian Pericarpi. He's on the front row here. Expect those 2 to be cooperating in pursuit, not just of the driver's title, but the manufacturer's championship too.
Yeah, they understand the big picture, and that manufacturer's title is so important as we look at the rest of the grid. Celso Neto, he's having a good season, sits 2nd in points right now. Still looking for that big win, but super consistent.
Definitely so. And the battle is fierce within that TC class. Great mix of machinery, as we've talked about. Looking at the TCX field right there, you've got the front-wheel drive Hondas, the rear-wheel drive BMWs. How do you expect that to play out around this newly resurfaced Road America facility?
Yeah, well, as I alluded to, typically tire degradation could be a factor with those front-wheel drive cars, but we're not hearing a lot about that this weekend. So we'll have to wait and see. If we do go green maybe during the last 10 minutes or so, it could become a factor. But the Hondas seem to have such a margin in qualifying pace, at least. We'll see how it shakes out here once we drop the green today.
Hardy race fans have made their way out to Elkhart Lake and to the Road America circuit. They're about to be treated to a slugfest of touring car racing. Coming your way here shortly, the field rolling out on its lone formation lap, 4 miles around this place. So one formation lap should be all you need to get those tires as close to operating temperature as possible before we turn them loose. Coming up that giant hill and that 4,400-foot drag strip that is the pit straight here at Road America. There you see the two minis in the TC class that swept the front row, Williams and Pericarpi. Then it's Jeff Rica, who wants to get back in that championship conversation. A lot of folks around the paddock think he's got some untapped speed in that car that maybe we haven't seen just yet. We'll find out pretty quick when the green flag comes out.
Yeah, and they were pretty tight in qualifying. We're talking about a 2-minute 25 laps, so they were within 0.4 of a second. So I think Jeff may be able to put some pressure on the minis here for the victory this afternoon.
Let's take a look now at the starting grid for today's race. And as mentioned, it is Matt Pombo who secured the Rova pole position for race number 1, pole for race number 2. In fact, the entire starting lineup for race 2 will be set by fastest lap in race number 1. As mentioned, Matt Pombo on debut this season, starting on the pole, Dai Yoshihara alongside. Points leader in TCX, Colin Garrett, starts third alongside AOA's Kenny Schmid. Adam Gleason, who scored his first podium position back at VIR, he'll start fifth alongside Matty Oust, the winner of the last 2 races. Lucas Catania had a practice crash himself. He'll start 7th alongside his father, Joe. Then back in the next row, it's Nick Roberts, his first races since COTA, and Aaron Kaplan making his first start of the season. And out back in the TCX class, Clifton Lipple making his series debut. Then to the TC class, as mentioned, front row lockout for the mini squad. Points leader Clay Williams on the front row will start on pole, and Christian Pericarpi will start second. Jeff Rica, second in points for the Gin Racer team, starting third alongside Brazilian stock car driver Celso Neto. Then we go back to the third row of the TC field, where you find Sally McNulty, who had a double podium outing at VIR the last time out. She'll start next to the Californian Chris Valdez. Then out back, you have Donut Media star Jeremiah Burton for the Skip Barber squad. He starts alongside Chris DeFreitas. Then to TCA, great points battle shaping up there. Spencer Bucknam trailing by just 5 points coming in. He'll start on pole next to mini driver PJ Gronke, a winner in the last race of the championship. Devin Anderson, the points leader, starts third next to his Tech Sport teammate Xiaoyi Che. Then back in the third row, it's Ruben Iglesias and Will Lambros in a pair of Hondas. And in the final row of the grid, Cooper Broll and Bruce Marine getting the final 2 starting positions. Great mix of cars, talented drivers sprinkled throughout this field. The lights are off on the safety car, Calvin. We're about to turn them loose.
Yeah, let's see who's got the acceleration run. Steep hill, steep climb out of turn 14. Looking for the green flag. You're really waiting for your team to give you that order versus being able to see. You're relatively blind to the starter's stand here.
It was very tight in qualifying. Less than a half a tenth separated Pombo and Yoshihara in the battle for the pole position. And that is your front row in the TCX class. Pole sitter Matt Pombo on the right-hand side of the screen on the front row. Now on the left side of the screen, entering the VP acceleration zone. We wait for the pole sitter to accelerate away, and he does. The green flag waves, and race 1 of the weekend at Road America is underway.
Yeah, Pombo looked like he really wanted to bring them up there nice and slow, try and get in the sweet spot on the torque curve of that Honda, accelerates away. Garrett looks to the inside of Yoshihara.
That's the battle for second. Now we go back to the TC field. Good getaway by the minis on the front row. Clay Williams able to consolidate his lead from the pole, but as I say that, here comes Jeff Rica and the Gym Racer Hyundai. He's got to run. He's got eyes on making it 3 wide, headed down into turn number 1 as the TCA field now streams under the starter stand. Nice jump from the front row by Bucknam, drag racing with the blue Mini. PJ Gronke, and we've got a big incident in the TCX field. That's the pole sitter who is off. That's Pombo. Gleason also caught up in the melee, and a third car as well. Safety car deployed just as the field starts to make its way towards turn number 5.
Yes, down through turn 4, it kind of funnels there in a big field trying to coexist. Looked like they got together. Carnage ensued there.
Oh, that is tough luck for the LA Honda World team and Matt Pombo, who was so quick here this weekend to claim the pole. But that car took a couple big hits. Garrett has come through, it would appear, to the lead in the Rooster Hall BMW. Yoshihara survived the start. He runs second. They were third and second on the grid, respectively. That's big for Colin Garrett. He has done a nice job all season, Calvin, even when the Honda has had the legs on the BMW of maximizing his points, and that's a big reason why he is the points leader.
Yeah, I expected him to dominate. Hasn't been the case, so he's had to fight hard for it, but he's kept a very level head, and even with races where he's been on the back foot, he's really put together a really solid season to compound that championship lead that he's built.
Just 1 week ago, he was attempting to qualify for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Late deal coming together just about a week out for a smaller team. Ultimately didn't quite make the field, but he's a driver with a lot of stock car experience and gets the call pretty regularly to try and put one of those stock cars in a field at a road course, based in large part by the success he's had here in TC America, powered by Skip Barber.
With that incident, Joe Catania's had a really excellent first lap here, moving from 8th on the grid up to P3 right now, as we're still running, obviously, under full course yellow. Safety car will be deployed. There it is, picking up the leaders here as we just passed the pit exit.
Good spot there. Catania, like you said, up to 3rd. Kaplan has cycled up to 4th. Lucas Catania to 5th. Schmid, Roberts, and Lippel. So that then tells me that Matty Oust must have been the 3rd car involved, along with Gleason and Pombo. Yeah. That's tough luck for the Fast Track Racing team. That's 2 of their cars in the form of Gleason and Oust that were caught up on that lap 1 melee.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, Matty in a backup car after a big incident in turn 14 yesterday. Seemed like you drop a wheel and then hook back across to the outside of the circuit. Had a big impact there. So coming off that sweep of the weekend, the highs and lows of racing, right?
If I'm not mistaken, she had a big crash here a couple weeks ago in a club race too. So it's been a difficult few trips to Road America for Matty Oust.
Field is now coming through the scene of that incident, so they're going to have to try and tread carefully there, make sure they don't pick up any shards of body work or whatever else has been laid on the ground.
Let's update you on the running order in the other classes. Christian Pericarpi from 2nd on the grid leads in TC. Jeff Rica was able to get around the pole sitter Clayton Williams, who has dropped to 3rd, and that's big from a points perspective. Rica trying to make inroads in that massive lead that Clay Williams has built up. Then it's Neto, McNulty, and Burton, followed by Valdez. Then we get to TCA, and Spencer Bucknam, the pole sitter, held off the challenge from Gronke. Anderson, Lambros, and Che, the rest of the top 5.
Anderson, the championship leader right now by a slim margin of 5 points over Bucknam, and that young man does a lot of work. He is a busy boy back at the shop. They got many championship contenders across the various classes in TC America, and Devin is making it all happen. He actually drives one of the transporters as well, so a multitasker. Yet he gets his game face on when it's race time, leading this championship, and trying to see if he can chase down those leaders, Bucknam and Gronke here, sitting in P3.
Techsport Racing, that is the family team. It's his parents that run it, but Devin Anderson is the shop manager. And so in addition to driving, he looks after their programs in TC America, like you mentioned, but they're also running the 2 Nissans in Pirelli GT4 America, and they've got a fleet of cars in the Toyota GR Cup as well, and all of that back in the shop in Virginia falls under his purview. So impressive 24-year-old to be organized enough to take care of that, but then to block that all out when he jumps in the race car.
That's the key, is being able to get focused when it is time to go and challenge for wins and maybe grab a championship this year. It's going to be a tight fight, though, because Bucknam's really been up on the wheel this year and having an excellent season aboard the Honda as well.
It's been great to see Spencer get a chance to run the entire schedule. Had a
Right.
good start to his rookie year last year. Funding, as it so often does, dried up. Didn't get a chance to finish out the season, but he hit the ground running back at Sonoma and has been impressive from the perspective of taking what's there, taking what's available to him this season and not overstepping what the car might have on a given weekend, maximizing his points.
Third generation racer, so he's been around the game a long time. His father, Jeff, ran at the Indy 500, and his grandfather was a Honda Formula One driver going back many decades now, of course, but even so, he understands the game, very smart, very astute young man, very impressive.
Right now leading the way from pole here in the TCA class. Cleanup continues from a lap 1 incident in the run from turn 3 down to turn 5. 3 cars involved in that, including the overall pole sitter, Matt Pombo. Matty Oust, the winner of the last 2 races in the championship, also caught in that coming together. And Adam Gleason, teammate to Matty, who's having himself an impressive first year of racing. Unfortunately picked up some damage and did not look like he made it around after lap number 1. So those are the 3 cars involved in the incident that have us behind the safety car. And this is so important in these short races, Calvin. The time bleeds away pretty quickly. Already we're approaching the quarter mark of this race, and we've yet to complete a full lap at speed.
Yeah, and I think this really takes away any thoughts about any tire degradation that may take place. There's going to be a really short sprint here. That will up the anxiety. Let's see how this develops there. I think that's Matty there to the inside on Gleason.
Yes. Just a little overlap. Someone was trying to change lanes, and the chaos ensued from there. A couple big hits. There aren't many small ones around Road America. This is a place that earns your respect quickly.
It does. It's old school in terms of its layout, but they continue to improve the facility. We've talked about the resurfacing, of course, big investment there, but every year you show up, they've just tweaked it a little better, making it a better venue for the fans to enjoy this wonderful place with new viewing areas and just lots of the track food here. We talk about it, but it's there's nothing like it.
It's one of those places that has always been a must attend at some point. If you're a race fan, you got to get here. But in recent years, we've really seen the ownership group double down on their investment. They start to do upgrades like the repave. It's only the second full repave in the track's history. The first one since 1995,
Right.
completed back in October. But new viewing areas, new paved paths around the track. One thing that's pretty interesting, there's a gravel path now that runs outside of the carousel, and the gravel is actually made from the old track surface. They were able to tear some of that up and recycle it, making gravel that they can use around the track. And that path around the carousel leads to what they call the beach. It's a natural sandy area, and they've got a little beach volleyball court set up, and taco truck will park down there, and it's a new great viewing area that provides a perspective that I don't know that many people had before.
It's like that's the place to have a margarita as well.
Sounds like a winning plan to me. Yeah, pretty neat place for sure, and hard to explore if you don't have some kind of motorized conveyance to get you around. So sprawling is this facility. 640 acres, in fact, is the footprint here at Road America.
But look at it, it's just immaculate. Just put such hard work and investment into keeping it in this sort of shape. Just a pleasure to come back. And from the driver's perspective too, just this circuit just really grabs you. Such a cool track, some really technical stuff, some low speed corners that are super, super important to lap time. Then some big challenges like the carousel, like the kink, high speed with big consequences.
The track ownership knew going into the repave that This is a popular place. The drivers love the configuration. They didn't want to see any changes. So when they were going into the repave, they came out and surveyed the track. 7,000 different grade control points around the track, measuring track width and camber angles, curbing locations. The goal was to keep the track the same to within 1/10 of an inch around this place. Don't mess with something as magical as Road America, basically.
Right. It's interesting to note, though, talking to a few of the drivers on a corner so important as the kink, they said it feels slightly different, like the profile there might be slightly different, but everyone's just trying to get their eye in on this circuit now.
28 minutes and change remaining still behind the safety car. That gives us a chance to head down pit side once more to DJ.
Just had a chance to talk to the Gen Racer Rika Autosport team, Ryan. They're feeling pretty good at this point. Up one position since the drop of the green flag. They think a restart's going to treat them well, and they're looking at the lead.
We'll keep an eye on Jeff Rika on the restart. He certainly looked sporty on the initial start, coming from the second row, making it 3 wide into turn number 1 and gaining at least one of those positions.
Yeah, well, he's got to go to work here because time is going to run out on him. He's got a 47-point deficit now after missing the couple of rounds when he was over at the Nürburgring competing there, and then a rough weekend at VIR. So he's got to grab points and eat into that margin that Williams has built.
47 points the deficit. Jeff now actually third in the standings. As we go back to take a look at the initial start, Matt Pombo on the left, Dai Yoshihara on the right. And it was a late start like you talked about for Matt Pombo. He's the guy who's been on several poles over the course of this season in various different championships.
So there's where Pombo lost the ground. He sort of like went wide there through turn 1. That's why he's in the meat of the pack there as they went down through turn 4 eventually.
This was the TC start. And keep an eye on the Hyundai and those traditional Hyundai colors coming from the third starting spot. Jeff Rika was the man on the move. It looked like he got a great jump, made it 3 wide here to the inside of the 2 minis that locked out the front row. Christian Pericarpi able to sweep across the bow and gain the lead, which he still holds.
But for Rika, he did a really nice job. He had the run. He's going down to the inside, but he didn't overdrive the corner. He realized that Pericarpi was there on the outside.
Here's the start in TCA. Bucknam in the LA Honda World Honda, fighting with Gronke. PJ, the winner at race 2 at VIR, slots in right behind, and we have a red flag displayed from the starter stand. So this could be an extended cleanup, it sounds like. Perhaps some of the concrete barriers may have moved. Those might need to be replaced. But that is not good news in a race that is already short to begin with, just 40 minutes. Only 26 and a half of those remain. And here goes some of the equipment, the forklifts, to perhaps reposition the concrete barrier.
Red flag clock is still going, so if we're going to eat into this remaining race time, probably just need the cars out of the way so they can effect a more efficient cleanup possibly there, and as you say, maybe correct some of the concrete barriers there.
Looking at what's to come this season for TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Of course, these 2 races here at Road America. Up next, though, a trip to Sebring before wrapping the season up at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
What a contradiction in racing
Right?
surface, going from the smooth and beautiful surface that we have here to the historic and wonderful Sebring Airfield.
And you know what? As much as people praise how smooth the surface is here, no one is asking for Sebring to repave.
No. Part of the charm and the magic.
Can't wait to see these touring cars bouncing over the bumps there at Sebring in September.
And into the yard of bricks.
And we have seen that infield road course at Indy put on some really good touring car races over the years.
It really does, because it allows a lot of these competitors to go side by side through some of the twisty stuff there. So
Celso Neto, maybe reminding everyone to drive smart. I'm not sure.
that's what it looked like.
Celso's had a good season. He's on a streak of 6 consecutive podiums, Calvin, within the TC class. Has yet to break through for his first win, but he's had a few podiums, he's had a few poles, he's had the fastest lap on one occasion this season. feel like his time is coming.
It doesn't take much. A little bit of misfortune for a championship leader, and suddenly you're hot on their tail.
There is the newcomer, Jeremiah Burton. Made his debut at Circuit of the Americas. Many of you at home might be familiar with some of his work in the motorsport and automotive media landscape. Great to have him here, part of the Donut Media team, host of the popular show Bumper to Bumper. And I know he's been doing a lot with his platform to promote his trip to pro racing for the first time, thanks to all the help he's been receiving from the Skip Barber Racing School, which is, of course, the official racing school of SRO America. Here's a look at Sally McNulty. Her first season racing in the TC class, and it's been a good one. She has really found the pace here in recent events.
Yeah, it's been a magical move for her, moving over to be under the auspices with Jeff Ricker, and you know, had to switch to left foot braking, so that was a transition for her, and she's adapted to that very quickly and had a fantastic weekend, breaking through for her best results ever with those 2 podiums at VIR. So she really sort of like showcases the passion that's in this sport, you know, really digging deep to try and make things happen. You see it with drivers like PJ Gronke, for example, coming off a brilliant victory at VIR as well. They just have to work so hard to make these programs come together, and it's exciting for us to watch and see them have the results now.
For sure. She and PJ both are great examples of folks that have scraped and clawed to put together the resources necessary to go racing. Even at the touring car level, it is not an easy proposition to find the funding to go and compete in a series like this that races all across the continent, and you got to give credit to those that find a way to make that dream a reality. Sally very much living out her dream, racing here in TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Should note, by the way, that at least on our timing and scoring page, the clock has stopped now that the cars have stopped, so that keeps us at 27 minutes and 47 seconds still remaining. Track repairs and cleanup still continue, so let's go back down to the pits and DJ.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm here with your leader after lap couple here, and it's Colin Garrett. Colin, he's kind of parting in front of you, but looks like it's open road.
Yeah, you know, we just long race now, so we just got to keep it up front. You know, that was a little gutsy move, standing inside there in the first turn, but it worked out, so hopefully keep it up front here, and yeah.
Is being in the lead here at this point now, is this going to change your approach in the rest of the race, or is it business as usual?
It's business as usual. I can't take too many risks here and just got to, you know, gain my points. So.
Awesome. Colin, thank you so much. That's Colin Garrett right there up front. Let's walk down the pit lane here a little bit, see if we can grab a couple other folks. Dai Yoshihara sitting in second place there. Dai, give us a little wave. He's got his window net up. So there he is. We got a couple of drivers further down here. Got all of those up. Dai doing a really, really good job holding on to that second position, as you said. Some of the other big gainers here, Joseph Catania sitting in the car. Give us a big thumbs up for Joseph. He's going to try to move his way up through the order. We've got a lot of drivers here with their windows up, so it looks like they don't want to chat with us at the moment. Ryan, I'll throw it back to you, and we'll catch up with you when we get back down to the TC field.
Sounds like a plan, DJ. Thank you for helping us, and great to hear from Colin Garrett there, who, again, you kind of heard him talk about it. He knows they're on the back foot pace-wise to the Honda here this weekend, so maximize what he's got, get as many points as he can. That's been the key to building his points lead so far this season.
Absolutely. He recognized that the Hondas are quick here, so for Yoshihara, he's really not in the championship picture. So if he's too strong today, just think about your challenges in the championship points picture and focus more on those.
Well, that's definitely what he's going to do. I mean, his closest pursuer was Matty Oust, and Matty's not had a good day, obviously caught up in the incident that brought out this red flag. So with that in mind, he can really focus on just securing what he can. A podium would be huge for him and extending that championship lead. We'll see Colin later on today in the Pirelli GT4 America race, where he races alongside Johann Schwartz. Back down to DJ.
Thanks, Ryan. Here with your leader in the TC category, Christian Pericarpi, able to get his way on forward. Christian, how's the car feeling? How's the one lap we've had under green?
Yeah, it was pretty good. A little wild there into 5, so I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, we had a good start and kind of took the lead from turn 1. Hopefully everybody's all right, whatever happened, but I'm excited to get the race going.
Well, and we've talked a couple times about this new racing line out here. It's really grippy on the surface, not so much off. Does that help you being up in the lead at this point?
Yeah, I think it will, because I could dictate my line, and the car that has to pass has to be offline. So I think I'm in a good seat here.
He's in the best seat in the house in the TC category. I'll tell you that. Sitting up front, Christian Pericarpi, absolutely incredible there in the number 37 JCW team. As we look down the grid here, drivers checking a few things out. Jeff Rika in the car. Jeff, you got a quick second to talk to us? We're on the broadcast. Jeff, you gained a good position there. We talked to your team. They say you're feeling good. How's everything behind the wheel?
I mean, it's great. I mean, the car goes great on a long run. So having this shortened race is going to be, not be advantageous for us, but man, I just got to stay in his airstream and capitalize on, my aerodynamics to get him out in turn 5 at least.
Well, you had an awesome move off the beginning of the race. Talk me through that. I mean, you just went for it, and it was absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, I staged it properly, and I was fortunate. It sounded like Clay maybe had a misshift or something, because I heard a little RPM crackle in his car, and I just ducked out and then stuffed it in one, and it was awesome. We'll get it going.
We'll get it going indeed, Jeff. Best of luck to you, my friend. Good stuff there. We'll get one more here if we can with Clayton Williams. Clay, you got a quick second for us, man? All right. Clayton, your championship points leader here at this point. Here there may have been a little bit of a problem off the start maybe for you?
Yeah, we had to cycle the electronics there at the beginning, so we got off to a little bit of a bad start, but we're still in the top 3, so we're definitely in the fight still.
Definitely still in the fight. Your teammates up front, are you guys have a strategy at this point working together, or is it every driver for himself?
Oh yeah, we're going to be working together to get out front and check out for sure.
All right, well, we wish you the best of luck in the world, Clay, and we'll see you back on the track here in a few moments. Clayton Williams, your top 3 there in the TC category.
Good work there, DJ. Thank you. This is the start in TC that we heard the guys talking about. Let's see if we can see where maybe Clay had a issue selecting the gear. Interesting, these are still H-pattern cars, so there is that chance of a missed shift potentially. This is when Jeff Rika got that big run and ultimately made the move to the inside. Looked like he might be able to go to the point, but Pericarpi was strong around the outside.
Yeah, I think Jeff made a really wise decision there, not trying to overcharge that turn 1 because Pericarpi was swinging in from the outside there. They could have had contact, so ideal for him. Looks like obviously that Williams did have a little technical issue that allowed Rika to get the run up into turn 1.
Interesting to hear Clay Williams and Christian Pericarpi talk about the team outlook of this battle at the front. And we touched on it at the top of the show. The Mini guys, they've got both drivers and manufacturers championship in mind. And I know under that tent, they're talking about the big picture here, and they're willing to cooperate to position themselves as best as possible. This is why we're under the red flag, by the way. 3 cars involved. The pole sitter, Matt Pombo, in the Honda that you see there with the trunk lid open. Adam Gleason, as well as Matty Oust, the 3 cars that got the worst of it there. Good news is it looks like that damage is cleared up, but we got a chance now to head back down to the pits and DJ.
We are indeed, and Ryan, I think I'm with a friend of yours here at this point, Bruce Marine in the car, and you're coming off of a pretty big weekend last time out, 24 hours of VIR from what I hear.
Yes, but this is a little bit faster and just as exciting though.
Yeah, well, how's it feeling out there? How's the track treating the Mini?
The Mini is really stable. It's set up. Looking forward to doing some real racing.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it. Sounds like we're about ready to fire up. Bruce, thank you so much.
All right, good luck, Dad. Hopefully the restart treats you well. Looked like he got a pretty good jump initially at the start of the race, but cool to see him get this chance to do this. Raced a couple of races down at Indianapolis at the tail end of the year last year, and he's been doing a lot of stuff with this LAP Motorsports team. They're active not just in touring car racing, but a lot of off-road racing. They did the Sonora Rally earlier this year where they finished 1st and 2nd in their class, so really fun bunch and a fun-loving group.
Your dad absolutely loves it, doesn't he? I mean,
oh, yeah.
He's still got the bug.
He does. makes me nervous up here, but yeah, we'll see what happens here in the final 27 minutes and 47 seconds. That shot we got of the run down to turn 5, that was certainly encouraging to see the cleanup complete, and I think it's now just a matter of time until we see the cars roll back out on the track.
Yeah, and obviously we saw there that Pombo had that rough ride through turn 1. It dropped it back into the middle of the pack. And just looking at it head on, it looked like Matty Oust had got a run on Gleason. And just through the kink there in turn 4, there was probably a little bit more road that she could have used to her right-hand side. It obviously got pinched everything, got into her teammate, and then we saw what ensued from that point forward.
And it's hate to see some of the front-running cars caught up in that. Certainly at least 2 that you figured were going to be there fighting at the pointy end with both Matty and the pole sitter Matt Pombo. And tell you what, Adam Gleason's had a really solid first year of racing. It's his first time doing anything at this level. And if we go back to the beginning of the season, he's running for the Fast Track Racing team. Toby Grahovic is the team owner. I remember talking to Toby about this, and he said that Adam had done some track days with him and had talked about maybe wanting to race in the future, but Toby felt like, based on his pace in the track days, that he was ready. He couldn't get Adam to agree, so he just went and signed him up and told him, you're racing this year. Get ready.
Yeah, Adam and his wife Mandy, they went to a race school together back in 21, and he fell in love with it, and he had the full support of Mandy, so it's pretty cool to see him now running at this sort of level.
Yeah, I hate to see them have the misfortune at the start of this race. That is PJ Gronke, currently second in the TCA class. That bright blue Mini with stickers plastered everywhere. This is what we're talking about when we mention that PJ hustles to put partners together to keep his car on the racetrack.
Yeah, little goes a long way when you work with so many partners, and he certainly gives them a return on their investment. And always got a bright, happy smile on his face and just loves it. He's had a couple of years where luck has not been his way, but great to see that win. That was a popular win in our paddock.
Certainly was. 2 podiums this season, including that win in the second race at VIR. 5th in points right now, and that would be a nice jump for him. He was 8th and 9th in 21 and 22, respectively. And he is, of course, the 2017 TCB class champion in this paddock in the final year of that TCB category. That was a look at Joe Catania, who is 3rd. Son Lucas is 5th, and I think Lucas might have had a piece of that incident as well. I was able to drive away from it, but not quite sure about the status of that car, so that's something to keep an eye on. He had a hit at the exit of the kink, I believe, earlier in the weekend that he's been recovering from, and that team, they've been working hard to make sure he's ready and able to go.
Yeah, you typically don't see him lining up 7th on the original starting grid, but with the cars that are out, that moves him up to P5 right now, behind his dad. So we'll see if we see a little family rivalry going on here at the restart.
Well, Joe Catania scored his first career podium back at VIR in the first race. That was the good news. The bad news is it came because his son got a penalty that dropped him back in the order post-race. So I'm not sure it was the most sweet podium celebration for Joseph Catania, but he finds himself back in podium contention here today as the cars roll back out behind the Toyota GR Supra safety car. And that means the clock is rolling again. We're down under 27 minutes to go after a lengthy red flag. But it looks like we should be going back to green next time around.
Yeah, still plenty of time to have an entertaining race here. Probably have 24, 25 minutes of green flag action, hopefully. Keep it nice and clean. Garrett suddenly on the point now, having started from the 2nd row originally. We'll have to wait and see what Yoshihara can do with the speed that was demonstrated in qualifying by those Hondas.
It's pretty amazing that Dai only has the 1 win on the season. When you go back to the strength he has shown since the season opener in Sonoma, he's got, 5 poles on the season, I believe, and he's run at the front, but really only the 1 win. That's his only podium. That's the only big result to show for all of his pace this year.
Yeah, just maintaining the speed in race conditions didn't seem to be their strong suit, but they've got a few more miles under the belt. Got a notebook to work from now, so hopefully they'll be a little bit stronger here over the longer run today.
Really interesting character, Dai Yoshihara. Comes from a drifting background. He's done the Pikes Peak hill climb. In fact, just last year, he had the fastest EV run up Pikes Peak. He's done a little bit of Lamborghini single make racing in the Asian Championship as well. But most of the racing he's done has been in rear-wheel drive cars. This, of course, is a front-wheel drive Honda, and a far cry from the kind of drifting dynamos that he's used to.
You're retraining the brain with that one.
Which makes his transition all the more impressive. Of course, from Tokyo, Japan, but now living in Southern California. Moved there back in 2003 to pursue drifting at a professional level here in the States. Right now lining up second behind the points leader Colin Garrett. 25 minutes to go and lights out on the safety car, so we expect a restart this time around. Garrett, Yoshihara, Catania, your top three in TCX. Then it's Pericarpi, Rico Williams, the top three in the TC class. Bucknam, Gronke, and Anderson holding podium spots in TCA, but that's all about to change because the green flag is imminent. Here comes the field through turn 14. Safety car already peeling off down the pit lane, and now Colin Garrett has the field under his control, approaching the VP acceleration zone, and when he goes, the rest of the TCX field will go with him. Colin Garrett, the Virginian, driving for Rooster Hall Racing. He's got the Japanese drifting ace behind him in Dai Yoshihara. Here comes Garrett, accelerating under the starter stand, and it looked like he got a great jump. The battle now on for the second spot. Yoshihara being swallowed up. BMWs swarming by on either side, and the big gainer appears to be Lucas Catania, who jumps up to the second spot.
Yeah, excellent restart there by the BMWs, controlled nicely by Garrett. Does Yoshihara have a technical issue, or did he just get caught sleeping a little bit there, maybe in the wrong gear? But he's got a regroup here. There's Devin Anderson side by side with Lambros there through turn one.
Good battle there in the TCA field. In the meantime, looks like perhaps problems for Clayton Williams. He's dropped back a few spots now, more than a few. That was the pole sitter and the points leader coming in TC, and he has dropped well behind his teammate who leads the class, Christian Pericarpi. Battle at the back of the TCX field. 29 car Nick Roberts making his return after running the pair of races at Circuit of the Americas, looking to go on the attack. It's Clifton Lipple, newcomer to the championship that runs just in front of him. Pressure starting to mount, though, it looked like, on Christian Pericarpi for the lead in TC, and we've got a couple of cars off in turn number 5. It looks like that is Ruben Iglesias.
There he comes. Oh, just in with way too much speed there. Car to the inside of him, and I think there's damage to that machine as well.
Yep.
He pulls off to the side.
Both cars appear to be wounded. We're still green for the moment. The second car was Cooper Broll.
Okay.
By the way, the Skip Barber car that came in and made that contact. We'll see if they're able to get to a safe spot. For the moment, we remain under racing conditions outside of that area around turn 5. Garrett leading the way. Newcomer Aaron Kaplan having a nice strong run. He's up to the second spot. And then we've got Catania coming under some pressure from Yoshihara, who looks resurgent now.
Yeah, it's Lucas Catania there in P2, Kaplan there in P3, so a nice solid start here, but Garrett's loving what he's seeing. No sign of that Honda that had got all of the pace over the BMWs in qualifying, at least.
Colin Garrett comes by to complete the first fully green flag lap of the race, and he's got a massive advantage, nearly 1 second now over Lucas Catania. Then it is Kaplan running in that third spot. Battle is on behind, though, with Joseph Catania and Dai Yoshihara scrapping for 4th and 5th.
That's going to be a real key here, how quickly Yoshihara can clear these BMWs and chase after our leaders. So he's got to regroup here, get back into a rhythm, still got plenty of time to work with.
Fight here at the front of the field in TC. Christian Pericarpi, he holds the lead in the 37 Mini. Jeff Rica tracking him down, though, running in the second spot. We heard from Jeff during that red flag. He thinks this car is going to be strong over a long run, so he might be sitting there biding his time at the moment.
Big question mark over Clayton Williams, our championship leader. He had that technical issue he described on the initial start. Now he's dropped further down the order. So has that cleared up, or is he going to struggle here all day long?
has dropped now to the 5th spot in class, at the very least. That was at the line. He might have dropped even more. Hopefully we can get an update on that. In the meantime, battle for the lead in TCA. Spencer Bucknam has to go on the defensive. The Canadian PJ Gronke is there, and as Bucknam goes wide at 5, might that open the door here for Gronke?
Yeah, Bucknam really sent it there in at turn 5. He's an aggressive young driver. Not afraid to get his elbows out. PJ tends to keep it a little bit cleaner, so this will be interesting dynamic there with the championship leader, Devin Anderson, sitting right behind them, waiting in the shadows in case anything happens.
PJ scored his best result of the season here last year with a runner-up in race 2 1 year ago. He was playing wingman on that day for Christian Pericarpi, if memory serves.
There after the king, trying to make a move. Unable to at this point, settles back in. Joe Catania going through the turn 12 apex, followed by Yoshihara.
Kenny Schmid is behind Yoshihara, then Nick Roberts. Them, that 4-car train now heading up the hill towards turn 14.
Schmid to the inside of Yoshihara, that's going to be tight.
Oh, it's going to compromise both of them at the exit of 14.
Not sure Yoshihara even saw him there, so I think he whistled through the corner, through the apex. Didn't lose anything, but Schmid had to get on the binders a little bit.
Leaves him vulnerable, and around the outside comes Nick Roberts. Great move to jump up to the 6th spot. Lucas Catania, by the way, just turned the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race at 2:25 flat, 0.2 of a second quicker than Garrett, so the lead down to 0.7 now.
Yeah, and they run 1-2 in the championship as well as 1-2 in this race.
Swap for the lead in TC. Jeff Rica from 3rd on the grid has gotten around Christian Pericarpi.
That's what he needs to do, and with Williams in trouble, suddenly that big points lead can be cut into in a heartbeat.
Oh, it can happen fast. Does look like Williams is recovering, though. Last time by, he was shown in the 3rd spot, so that will help to staunch the bleeding, but he's got some work to do.
Such a great place to watch there as they burst through the trees. Onto the brakes, late brake, try and roll a bit of apex speed through turn 5. Racer team looks on, seeing the progress of their team boss and lead driver.
Sally McNulty and the other car from that team runs 5th right now, having another nice day. Here's a move again. Yoshihara taking a peek on Joe Catania, but Joe, stout in his defense, not giving way.
Yeah, and this defense is certainly hurting Yoshihara's thoughts of even chasing after those leaders. Look through there, Catania just gaps the Honda through the long duration corner of the carousel.
Could that be the difference between front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive through that kind of a corner?
Yeah, quite possibly. It's all about balance. We're also dealing with a racetrack that's probably as warm as we've seen all weekend long here, so that will change the balance a little bit as well.
Top 3 in TCA, nose to tail. Bucknam, Gronke, and Anderson, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, coming through the carousel.
Anderson looks like he's got some pace there, sitting in P3.
Ooh, Schmid back around the 24 of Roberts. That's for 6th.
Yeah, he's had a good lap there because he dropped a couple of positions with the move he attempted to make right here 1 lap ago.
Yoshihara got by Joe Catania there or somewhere on that lap too, so put the Japanese driver now up into the 4th spot. Now what kind of pace does he have relative to Kaplan, who runs 3rd? Lucas Catania just reset the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race. He's down to within 0.3 of a second of the lead. Meanwhile, Yoshihara going on the defense again as we see Roberts attacking this time into 1.
Lucas Catania recognizes he's got to cut into that championship lead of Garrett. Garrett realizes he can't afford to let him do that. Seemed like Catania was always the bridesmaid in terms of so many runner-up finishes last year and finally burst through for that victory earlier this season. So that will give him the confidence to be in this position and go for it.
He has been the picture of consistency this season. Lucas Catania, 5 podiums in 6 starts. And he's in position to make that a 6th out of 7. But I know he wants that win badly. He had to wait a long time to get it back at Circuit of the Americas. And once you've had the taste, I think the desire only ramps up from there, right?
Yeah, it just takes you a whole new level. You just realize that you can do it. I mean, for so long we just kept talking about it. He's knocking on the door, couldn't quite get it home. And different competitors, it's like different challenges, and a driver would go away, and then you'd think, okay, this will open up the door, but it never quite did.
Change for second to TCA. That's Anderson around Gronke. PJ trying to fight back here into 5. Watches that Mini squirms, that short wheelbase, fairly wide tires, downhill over the bumps into 5. Not too many bumps around this place, but I'm told there is still some undulation there in that turn 5 braking zone.
Yeah, you can certainly see it down in turn 12 as well. You see the rubber on the ground where you're heavy into the brake zone down there as well. But for Anderson, comes into this round of the championship 5 points in the lead. It's a 7-point swing between first and second with the point structure in these races. So right now Bucknam would assume the lead as they run by a mere 2 points.
Less than 15 minutes to go in what has been a stop and start race 1 of the weekend. Long red flag period after a first lap crash, and problems here for the 808 of Clifton Lipple. That's at the exit of the kink. Rarely do you see a driver get away with that. That car doesn't look...
Broken left front.
You're right.
I'm not sure he's going to move very far.
Safety car deployed with 14 minutes to go, and that breaks off what was shaping up to be a great battle for the lead in TCX. It brings Devin Anderson up to the leader in TCA, and oof, that was a big hit. Right in front of the TC class leader, by the way.
Yeah, then the 2 minis are coming through there as well. Pericarpi and Williams. He's doing his best to get it back there. Pulling a Gilles Villeneuve.
Might be harder to get it to turn this direction. We'll see. There's the safety vehicle on site. I think there still should be a gap to be able to weave past this if the field does come around. 13.5 minutes to go. Garrett, Catania, Kaplan, the top 3 in TCX. Rika, Pericarpi, Williams, the top 3 in TC. Another view of what brought out the second safety car of the day.
It just runs wide there. You can just see slightly offline, no grip when you get out there, and you're just along for the ride. We've seen it many times here this weekend. Brought out the legend Bill Oberlin in the Fanatec qualifying this morning. How he escaped that moment we'll be talking about later in the day, but typically you don't.
There is speed to be found using that curbing there on the exit, flirting with the edge. And that's why you see him get out there.
It's just like if you just drift offline from the just after apex at that point, that's when you really need the grip and it's not providing it. So that's when the drivers are going for a bit of a ride.
Impressive debut here for Aaron Kaplan, who runs in 3rd in that brightly colored BMW in the TCX class. Green on the nose, black on the doors, blue on the tail. And Aaron is a veteran of amateur road racing in the SCCA. He's run in the SCCA runoffs in BMW M3s quite a bit. A little Spec Miata experience as well, dating back over a decade now. But cool to see him make this step up in the Kaplan Racing Systems entry. First start of the year.
Yeah, lap time's very impressive. He's running within a second of our championship leader, so that's making quite a statement on a track as challenging as this. So he's done a really solid job there, looking for a podium.
Great to see the growth in the TCX class, having Honda come on board this year. We know the Acura is inbound for next year as we look at the leader in TC, Jeff Rika. But a pretty big field in TCX, possibly the biggest we've ever seen, in fact, here this weekend.
It's taken a while. I mean, really dominated by the BMW, of course, in its initial season, and but we've got the Hondas there now, and excitement with other manufacturers joining the party. So it's pretty cool. But I tell you what is going to be interesting to see if Yoshihari just laid down the fastest lap of the race, sitting in P4, and that gap that he was going to try and make up has been erased with this safety car. So providing we have some time to work with, can he go on the attack and actually get up on the podium or even better?
Well, hopefully for him, the restart goes a little better than the last one did. He got swallowed up, and I'm not sure if that's something with the strength of the BMW relative to the Honda, or he simply got jumped, but he'll need to put whatever lesson he learned on the restart a few moments ago to good use here, because you're right, this yellow has brought him right back into the fight for a podium, if not more.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was just had to be in the wrong gear ratio there, maybe low down on RPM at the speed that Garrett brought them up to the line, but either way, he's certainly got time a little bit better for the next one.
Well, on that subject, let's remember it was a Honda that led the field to green in the initial start, and we saw Matt Pombo take a much more measured approach to the start, a much slower speed, so maybe that was more favorable from a gear ratio perspective. Then we see the BMW, again, maybe making an adjustment to its start speed with Colin Garrett on the last restart, trying to put that platform in its sweet spot.
Exactly. So when you have the point, when you have the pole position, or if you have the lead on a restart, you are able to control that a little bit better. And as we talked about, it's typically dominated by BMW, so everyone should be in the same gear. But when you got different manufacturers, it can play a part in terms of that acceleration run towards turn one.
And this BMW M2 CS has been such a successful platform. They sold like gangbusters in the first few years that they were available. If you wanted one, it was almost impossible to get your hands on one. The frustration for the championship was that they ended up in the hands of a lot of folks who didn't plan on going racing with them necessarily, more using them for track day purposes and things of that nature. And so there was a lot of work done behind the scenes to get some of these cars available to teams and drivers that had aspirations to take them racing. We're seeing the fruits of that now as the fields continue to grow. And then with the Honda this year, the Acura next year, news at the State of the Sport address just last night that there is a third manufacturer that is likely to be on board for TCX looking ahead to 2024. And we expect this just to continue to grow in the years to come.
Rooster Hall team looking on, analyzing how much time they got to work with here for their championship and race leader, Colin Garrett.
There's not going to be much time, Calvin, because these laps behind the safety car are taking about 5 minutes. So do the math. We're looking at about 3 minutes or so if we can restart this time around. And as you can see, that's not a given. There's still work to be done. Damaged car of Clifton Lipple.
Yeah, I think it's essentially going to have to be this lap or it's not going to happen, looking at the
I agree.
timing of everything. If they can slow the pace car down a little bit more, give them opportunity to get that cleanup done.
Colin Garrett would not complain if that's the way it worked out, because both Lucas Catania and Dai Yoshihara looked like they could be threatening before it was all said and done based on their pace prior to this yellow. I think Jeff Rico would be pretty thrilled too, because the minis, I was told to expect them to swap positions if they could to help Clay Williams in his pursuit of the championship. This
Can't do
yellow
that
came
yellow.
out exactly,
Yeah.
unless they bring Christian in, which I suppose
true.
they could do, but that would cost him a podium. So that's a tough choice for them to make, but this yellow happened before they could do that on the racetrack. In fact, it kind of looked like it was setting up right when this crash happened.
Literally dragging the BMW back. It's got some tire rub on the rear end as well, so it had broken left front suspension, and looks like the rear has taken a hit as well. That's what we're seeing from the tire smoke, I think, on the fender.
And then to recap the story in TCA, I think Spencer Bucknam would be perfectly happy if this did not restart, because Devin Anderson looked very threatening, having just made the pass around PJ Gronke prior to the yellow.
Yeah, and as we said, as tight as that championship is, that would reverse their positions in the championship standings overnight at least.
It would give Bucknam a 2-point edge. He came in with a 5-point deficit. As they run, is set to make up a couple of points. But here's some good news. I don't see any lights on the safety car, so we might have one lap or thereabouts to settle this. We shall see.
Yeah, well, Could be at least one lap, because if we do go green, obviously the cars at speed will hustle around here quicker than a safety car, so we could actually have 3 laps.
3 laps of green or 1 of yellow. That's what we're staring down right now. The nature of this 4-mile track, but it looks like it's going to be the former, with the lights off on the safety car. Got an update from the mini-cap. The word to Christian Pericarpi is to go at the start of this. If they do get it restarted, take the fight to Jeff Rica. And if nothing happens, then there's the chance that we could see those 2 mini teammates swap positions.
See how Yoshihara handles this restart. They're sitting in P4 behind Kaplan, whether he wants to try and leave a little gap and get a run up the hill.
Here we go. Under 5 minutes to go. Colin Garrett out in front. Lucas Catania, his sparring partner for most of this season, right behind. Then it's the newcomer, Aaron Kaplan, and Dai Yoshihara sitting in 4th. That's how they run in TCX into the VP acceleration zone. And here goes Colin Garrett. Catania keeping pace with him. Yoshihara looks like he got a better jump, but already is coming under threat once again from that horde of BMWs that lies in wait behind him, and Yoshihara has dropped a couple of positions. Garrett holds down the lead. Catania runs 2nd. Fight is on for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Now into the TC field where they spread out 3 wide. Whoa,
that's tight.
PJ Kroenke splitting it 3 wide, and he's around Anderson to get another spot back.
Yeah, Anderson lost another position there as well, so it was really tight there. I think Celso Neto had a great run in the TC restart as well.
Another one of the, I think that's Cooper Broll that has some damage there. The mirror flopping in the wind. He's losing a couple of spots, and you're right, Cal. Here comes Catania. Garrett guarding the inside. Catania forced to go the long way around. How compromised is Colin Garrett's line through 5?
He rolled the speed good, kept on line. I think Catania was trying to set up for the crossover there. Thinks about it up into turn 6.
Tough place to make a pass. It's blind on corner entry. Track falls away on exit. Then the high commitment of turn 7. Colin Garrett, stock car ace turned touring car star, making the run down the hill to turn number 8, the left-hand bend that leads to the carousel.
Really good run through turn 7 for Garrett. That gave him the gap to not have to defend down into the brake zone in 8.
Kenny Schmid was the big winner on the restart. He's from 6th up to 4th, running right behind the leading trio right now.
He kind of got out-shuffled there trying to make some moves. If we reflect back a few laps ago into turn 14, dropped him well down the order, but now he's back on the attack. Kaplan's not giving up in thoughts of climbing another step on the podium here this afternoon.
Absolutely, and why not? Looking really strong. Pulls to what will be the outside here in Canada corner as they make their way down towards turn number 12. Great look at the speed of these touring cars through this high-speed section of the track.
Catania was really on the defense there with Kaplan. Not sure if Catania was having issues or Kaplan was just got his tires cleaned off a little bit better and had a stronger run on this restart.
Bucknam continuing to show the way for LA Honda World in TCA. He's got PJ Kroenke hot on his heels, and Devin Anderson with the bit between his teeth after getting jumped on the restart just a few moments ago.
Look at this. I think, is that Pericarpi got around Rica?
Correct. White flag waves, by the way. Last lap here at Road America, and you're right, the battle is on for the lead in TCA. The battle is on here for 2nd in TCX. Everywhere you look, there's a fight breaking out, but all of it happening behind the overall leader, Colin Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett has just escaped with that little battle there for P2. It's given him a big gap, and now Rica's got around Pericarpi for the lead once again in touring car.
Rica back to the point.
Spin.
Yep.
Like
Nick Roberts.
Yeah.
From 5th.
Could hear it, and then we saw him.
Here's the battle, though. Pericarpi's got the run down into turn 5. He's going to try to use Yoshihara as a pick. Fight for the lead in TC rather. Rica, though, fighting back. That car very strong, deep into the power band, late in that run down to 5, and Rica sweeps back through into the lead.
Yeah, and Williams has got problems. He's plummeted down the order, our championship leader in TC, so some kind of issue for Williams here after this restart.
Garrett with a nice advantage of about a second now over Catania. Catania coming under pressure from Kaplan. Schmid would love to get on the podium here at Road America. He's one position away.
Big slide. Looking at the clock, it's going to be tight to see if these teams will get one more lap. I think they may just beat the clock back around to put one more lap on. It's going to be tight, though. So we see the battle up front for TCA. Bucknam hangs on to it. Devin Anderson has got back up into the P3, but a bit of a gap between he and the leaders.
Great job by PJ Kroenke. He was a runner-up here in race 2 1 year ago. He won at the most recent outing at VIR. Back to the front of the field, though. Garrett.
I don't think he's going to get back and beat the clock. This should be the final lap.
That's perfectly fine as far as Colin Garrett is concerned, looking to extend that points lead through Billy Mitchell for the final time. The fight on behind him, though, for second and third. Lucas Catania, Aaron Kaplan duking it out through turn 14. Here comes Garrett out of 14 now, and he just has that long run up the hill, separating himself from yet another win. Colin Garrett, the Virginian, and Rooster Hall Racing take race 1 at Road America. Drag race to the stripe, and Catania holds off Kaplan by 68 thousandths of a second. Fight for the lead in TC, and Rika out-drags Paracarpi by 91 thousandths to get the win in race 1.
That is huge. Williams having problems. Going to be a big points day for Jeff Rika.
The lead in TCA and the win to Spencer Bucknam. He takes the points lead now over Devin Anderson. Anderson does hold on for the second spot.
He got around Gronke there on the final lap.
Just 0.2 of a second separating second and third as the Rooster Hall team celebrates another overall victory.
It's only his third on the year, though. It's been pretty much shared the spoils throughout this championship season. As we said, with Jacob Rude moving on, two-time champ, you thought that would open up the door for Garrett to dominate. He's leading the championship wins here today, but it has not come easy. The level of competition has really risen over the last couple of years in this class.
No finish worse than 4th on the season, though, for Colin Garrett. Podiums, those 3 wins, always a factor for the top 3. And it has helped him that one of the early front-runners in the class, Kyle Lowe, unfortunately has not found the funding to continue this season. And so that opened up the pathway just that little bit wider for Colin Garrett at the midway point in the season.
There's a good little scrap there. Unfortunately, we lost quite a bit of race time due to the incidents today, but that's a consequence of this high-speed circuit.
Here are the provisional results. Race 1, TC America, powered by Skip Barber, Colin Garrett, Lucas Catania, Aaron Kaplan. First, second, and third. Great debut for Aaron Kaplan. Only 1.2 seconds off the race win. Then we go down to TC, where Jeff Rika won on the road. I'm told that the restart is being looked at, so that could be something that could still change. As it stands, though, Rika the winner, Paracarpi narrowly edged for the win, comes home second. Celso Neto back on the podium. He has been so close to a win this season, racking up those podiums. Then it's Sally McNulty in the 4th spot. In TCA, Spencer Bucknam leads home Devin Anderson, and PJ Kroenke, another fighting podium result for the Canadian to come home 3rd ahead of the Tech Sport driver Xiaoyi Che and Will Lambrose of the Skip Barber Racing School team. And as you can see, a lot of drivers with some misfortune here today. Pombo, Gleason, and Aust eliminated on the first lap. Lippel and Brohl also had it coming together. Iglesias as well. And Clay Williams all the way down. Basically the last car running at the end of this race.
He had to serve a penalty. There was a passing under yellow infringement, and that's why he had to serve that drive-through penalty and dropped him down the order. That's where he went.
I gotcha. So that might have been the penalty that I was told was being looked at. That would make sense. So, okay. I think that is good news then for Jeff Rika. I believe everything is clear and good to go on his end. And a big victory for him. His first in some time. I mean, we think about the way this season started for Jeff, winning the first 4 races, and we thought, wow, what a season this is about to become. We knew he had to miss the 2 races at COTA for his Nürburgring 24 commitments with Hyundai, but things did not go well at VIR. So if you think about it, these are his first wins since April.
Yeah.
at NOLA Motorsports
Yeah.
Park.
And it just looked like it was going to be a walk-away for the
Right.
championship, didn't it?
At that time, it certainly did. It's proven to be anything but. However, he has put the rest of the TC field on notice with his performance here today. Well, there's Colin Garrett climbing out of the car after his third win of the season in the TCX class. That extends his points lead. Looking forward to hearing from him. And there's the celebration. A man who went stock car racing, but always had a passion for road racing and has been able to pursue that here in TC America in recent years. Let's hear from DJ and Colin.
Colin Garrett, winner once again. You did exactly what you told me you needed to do there on the grid.
Yeah, that wasn't one of my best performances there. I missed way too many corners. So, yeah, it was good. I've had this race circled on my list since last year after that whole debacle on the first lap. So this has kind of been a track that's been, like I said, circled on my list. So it's good to win and good to be back in victory lane. These guys are Rich racing. They worked all night to get this thing where we needed to be, and super thankful to have a group of guys like that. So now we got to do it in the GT4 car this afternoon. So,
well, good luck to you. That's right. Colin does double duty over the course of the weekend, but you're winner here in TCX.
That's right. We'll see him later today in Pirelli GT4 America. Looking forward to that. There's Lucas Catania celebrating, congratulating Colin Garrett. Those two have been fighting at the front all season long.
They have, and it looked at one point like Luke was going to have a run, and then he kind of got gapped a little bit, and then pressure was on from Kaplan to hang on to a runner-up finish, but great racing.
That's a look at the run to the checkered in TCX. Garrett out by himself, but it was close. Kaplan and Catania fighting for second and third. Back down to DJ.
Well, I'm here with Jeff Rica, who, as we talked about, had a little bit of a street fight on his hands, but you came out on top.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that last lap was probably the hardest I've ever raced in SRO. I mean, it was back and forth. I think we did 2 position changes in one lap. Bumpers touching each other. I knew that I had to get a run up out of 14 going into the start finish because I needed the draft, so I eased up going into 14 and just got a run on it coming out, and it paid dividends. So I'm so stoked that a Hyundai on top of the podium again. I think we're going to be very close to being taken to manufacturers again on top of the lead. So this is awesome.
Awesome indeed. Back on top step of the podium is Jeff Rica.
Yeah.
Jeff Rica bleeds Hyundai blue, I think it's safe to say. This is how close it was at the finish. Just barely winning out that drag race out of turn 14. Phenomenal result for Jeff Rica and Gin Racer.
He talked about the manufacturer's title being so important to him, but he's also going to make a big step forward in the driver's points as well.
Down to DJ.
Well, I'm here with Spencer Bucknam, your winner in the TCA category. Spencer, a little bit of a stop-start race, but you made it work.
Yeah, it's definitely hectic. At the start there, it's not really how you want to go. My teammate Matt got caught up at the little incident there, and I hope all drivers are okay. I actually don't know what happened or the results, but yeah, multiple restarts, having to hold them off, and yeah, happy with the P1.
Very happy with the P1, and well, is this going to play into tomorrow as well?
Hopefully it gives us good momentum. I don't know where we are, what lap we got, but hopefully we can start on pole, do it again. But huge thanks to LA Honda World, HPD, Beezer Family Vineyards, Blue Marble Cocktails. Couldn't do it without those guys.
All right, that's your winner in the TCA category, Spencer Bucknam.
Doesn't look like a pole for tomorrow. Devin Anderson had the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race in TCA, and it looks like Spencer's going to have to get the job done from third tomorrow, Calvin, but he's a guy who can get it done.
Yeah, and with this racetrack, it's so raceable. So, yeah, qualifying is important in your starting position, but you can certainly get some work done by the checkered flag.
Highlights from a frantic TC America powered by Skip Barber race number 1. This was the big moment of the race early on.
Yeah, so unfortunate. Matty has coming off that sweep of victories at VIR, just gets wrapped up there with her teammate, and that takes out our pole sitter as well.
Brought out a red flag. One thing I noticed there, big save from Lucas Catania, and he's able to recover to finish in second. After a red flag stoppage, we do get a restart here. Fights up and down the field. Colin Garrett able to accelerate ahead. We've got a spin here. This brought out the second yellow, and it was a difficult debut for the 808 car. That happened right in front of the leaders in TC. Then the restart with just a couple of laps to go. PJ Gronke was on the move early, able to get up to the second spot. Did a nice job there, but at the very front of the field, it was Colin Garrett who brought his Rooster Hall BMW home The TC class goes to Jeff Riecup and TCA to Spencer Bucknam from LA Honda World. And good news, we get to do it all over again with race 2 tomorrow.